Here's what I think your problem politically is that no one, I think the media reported this trip. Why didn't you just say, I'm going to go see this and put out an announcement yourself, a press release from you, Delegate David Englin, saying, I'm going to see it. And then you would have had this, oh, look, he's going off on a cushy trip to Paris.
Sure.
I mean, did you announce it?
It made it seem as if they got caught doing something.
I mean, this is the biggest problem I'd find with public officials who go on these trips. If you think it's worth going, and it's your reputation, why not announce it in advance and let people complain? But at least you've said in advance, I'm going.
Sure, and quite honestly, Tom, I don't think that's a bad idea. I didn't make an advance announcement of this trip, but I certainly was aware that there could be some controversy. The key in Virginia on all of our very permissive campaign finance rules and gift rules and everything else. I mean, we probably have the most permissive lobbying rules in the country. The key to all of them is transparency, and I would also say that we probably have the most transparent set of disclosure requirements in the country. So
when would you, for example, under the law, when would you have to disclose this trip?
This particular trip would be listed on our annual Statement of Economic Interest disclosure, which includes a section about gifts that we've received.
And when would that be?
And I believe that it would be this coming January.
So it would be after this fall's election, though.
In this case, that would be right. Yeah.
Okay. So I'm just.
Yeah. No, and it's.
You understand?
I do, and it's a fair point. But in my case, I'm very proud of the fact that I have a very open and responsive relationship with my constituents. I represent the smartest, best educated, best informed people in the country in Alexandria, Arlington, and Fairfax. And I pride myself on the fact
and you have a very strong record on the environment
as
far as that goes. But think of it in terms of this kind of perception. Virginia Uranium is saying this guy has a strong record as an environmentalist. He's probably likely to oppose us. How can we get this guy on our side, so to speak?
Or neutralizing.
Well, we can treat him really well by giving him an all-expenses trip to France, by putting him in a nice hotel. And yes, we will take him to see comparable uranium mines in France, comparable to what we would have in Virginia. But by then, we'll have softened him up. He'll be thinking of us as really nice people. He won't be as hostile to us. We will have, as Tom said, neutralized him.
Sure. Well, as Kojo, anyone who's followed my political career would laugh at the notion of neutralizing me in any way. I mean, if anything, the criticism I tend to get is that I tend to be pretty aggressive. I've been called the aggressive progressive. You're not going to neutralize me by taking me on a trip. What they did was they came to me and they said, look, we know that you're opposed to this. We know that you're going to vote against us, but we're so confident in the science-based case that we have to make that we'd like you to see the information. And my feeling was, I don't want to be the one environmental champion in the room. I'm on the subcommittee that will likely work on this issue if a bill comes up. I don't want to be the one guy in the room who doesn't have the ability to say, I was there, I saw these sites.
What did you accomplish while you were there? There seems to be a narrative that not much was accomplished.
Well, I don't know who's pushing that narrative. It could be
me.
Well, it could be. But while we were there, we had the opportunity to see sites where they've been mining uranium for about 50 years in France, again, in these comparable geology, comparable climate. And now they're in the mode of reclaiming these sites so that they are trying to secure the tailings and the waste and other things in a way that where they'll be stored for the long term. So we had a chance to see some of those sites, to see the technologies that they're using to sequester waste and protect the local drinking water and farmland and those kinds of things. We also, I think this was very valuable, had a chance to sit down with the mayor and town manager of Basine and ask them a bunch of tough questions. And quite honestly, to me, in some ways, that was the most interesting part, because I asked the mayor of Basine very directly, have you had public health and safety problems from 50 years of mining? And I also asked, would you, if they found more uranium here tomorrow, would you let them reopen the mines? Would you support that?
And I bet you the answers to those questions were no and yes, respectively.
The answers were no and yes, respectively. That's exactly right. And I took that information back to the environmental leaders here in Virginia and said, okay, this is what legislators who are going on this trip are hearing from the locals there. You have talked to me, you, the environmental community, have talked to me about science and public health reports that contradict that. So show me those. And what I've asked both sides to do is respond to each other's information, because it is conflicting information. My goal is to protect public health and safety based on the best science possible.